The unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic has affected the entire world horrendously. To combat this pandemic, the Government of India has taken swift actions and put stringent measures in the country. The apprehension that COVID-19 pandemic may continue or other similar pandemic may occur in future, it becomes imperative to review and document the ongoing response efforts at a state level. The World Health Organization recommended documentation of COVID-19 response. The Indian Institute of Public Health Gandhinagar, in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad and the World Health Organization, documented the actions undertaken by the government of Gujarat. This exercise is the first of its kind in the country, and it is based on the World Health Organization's 10 pillars. This video presents pandemic management strategy, the major challenges faced, success stories, and the best practices employed in COVID-19 management in the state of Gujarat of India. Planning, coordination, and monitoring. Planning, coordination, and monitoring are essential resources to handle any emergencies.
Daily, on a literally daily basis, we were learning, unlearning, relearning, and sometimes even U-turns had to be made in terms of what is the acceptable protocol, what are the theories, etc. So there were lots of changes which were being incorporated real time into it. And this also helped keep the political stakeholders and the feedback from the ground also completely plowed into the implementation framework.
Risk communication and community engagements. COVID-19 risk communication and community engagement are very important for prevention and mitigation of the ill effects of the pandemic.
In terms of risk communication, one of the first steps that was taken was to ensure that this information communication with the general public was not in any way disrupted in the context of the lockdown and the situation that followed. So it was decided to have daily press briefings by me as the Principal Secretary Health, as well as the Secretary Information and the Director General of Police. So this went on for over a month almost with complete regularity. And along with this, I think Gujarat was one of the first states to have the state COVID portal, which had the details being updated on a daily basis, and it became the authentic source of information. Additionally, when we come to community engagement, we actually developed, along with Ashoka University, a full-fledged Social and Behavior Change Communication SBCC toolkit and involvement of the community in running COVID isolation centers, but completely which were community-based. It was run by the community at zero cost to the government in a way. So I think all these measures helped bring the community also very actively into the process of prevention as well as treatment and the enforcement with persuasion, all of these measures which were integral to COVID.
Surveillance, response, and containment. Surveillance, response, and containment are foremost strategy to contain spread of COVID-19 outbreak.
We'd like to share that Gujarat was one of the first states which did a complete house-to-house surveillance way back in March. We started it. Similarly, we included during the surveillance campaigns the identification of influenza-like illnesses, ILIs, and severe acute respiratory illnesses, SARI cases also along with the surveillance drive. Arogya Setu, which was implemented across the country, was picked up very seriously by Gujarat, and particularly the implementation of an initiative called Itihas, where we were looking at the consolidated COVID hours and plotting it spatially for the 15 days preceding somebody being tested positive as COVID. And we were actually going to those areas which were identified as hotspots and actually do a very detailed surveillance testing in those areas. Additionally, the COVID tracker in our treatment, case management facilities, hospitals, was of great value. We have, in fact, a full-fledged consolidated command and control room at the central level, which looks at these COVID trackers, each and every patient, how they're doing and so on. Community pulse oximeters were also very widely used. So we had health workers, including ASHAs in many places who would carry these pulse oximeters. And many of our team members from the corporations feel that several hundreds and perhaps even thousands of lives could be immediately saved because they were identified and brought to the health facilities immediately. We also engaged the preventive social medicine departments of various medical colleges and converted these into RRTs, rapid response teams. And we also set up these epidemic intelligence units, which were in constant touch with the collectors and the officers there. They would go to the field.
Point of entry capacities. Gujarat shares its borders with Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Entries to the state by way of road, air and the sea were strictly controlled with great agility.
When we talk of the points of entry, we must appreciate that Gujarat has seaports as well as airports, 2 of them actually. So it was very important right from the beginning to put in place a mechanism, and we had got our teams doing the thermal scanning, and there were also senior officers deployed for this. There were help desks and a medical team available round the clock to ensure that passengers were being screened, and some of them who had symptoms were immediately being taken to the medical facilities. But along with this, we also had provisions for quarantine, and we had kept some of the hotels and such other facilities available right from the beginning to be able to accommodate such requests. We also had another peculiar issue. Gujarat has a very large number of migrant laborers, particularly in cities such as Surat, where there are nearly about 1,500,000 laborers belonging to different parts of India, and also other districts like Jamnagar. So it was very important to engage with them initially, make sure that they were all well taken care of, and then when it was decided that they would also be permitted to and facilitate their traveling back to their places of origin, that was also done in a very well coordinated, orchestrated manner, giving many of them food with the help of NGOs and other civil society groups, and of course the district administration and our food and civil supplies department as well.
Laboratory capacities and hospital preparedness. Gujarat has taken prompt action to facilitate increase in laboratory capacity, hospital preparedness, and infection prevention and control measures.
When we talk of lab capacities, initially we faced this challenge that we did not even have a single facility and had to send all these tests all the way to NIV Pune because the kits were not there. But way back in February, BJ Medical College started functioning, and then slowly we had to ramp up the quantity of labs, and we also had to rope in the private labs. So now today we have as many as 87 labs if we include the private and the government facilities, and we're able to test more than 27,000 RT-PCR samples per day. We also had to pay a lot of attention to quality, so the NABL accreditation as a precondition that ICMR keeps for giving permission to the labs was also being adhered to. Get more and more technicians into these labs and also train them and mentor them real time. Often these teams had to work literally 3 shifts a day, and we had to keep their motivation levels also high, for which we started mentoring of all these labs by a senior microbiology team headed by Dr. Nidhi Sood. And we also had a WhatsApp group where we would literally on a daily basis interact with them.
Infection prevention and control. During COVID-19 pandemic, in order to control the vigorous spread of the infection, the state came up with many strategies and guidelines for the effective handling of situation in all possible means.
We got our quality teams to actually very rigorously start the on-site, off-site mentoring, visits, also visits to different sites, actually sitting with the teams, mentoring them and so on. And in a few instances where we also saw healthcare workers getting infected, we immediately sent our teams there to make sure that again all the measures that had to be practiced are very strictly, rigorously followed. Buddy system again was something we started following in a big way, with big flex banners at the donning and doffing area to make sure that the checklist of which is the sequence of taking off the PPE, gloves and so on, all that was followed. Also, we were perhaps one of the first states to think of and ensure that dedicated COVID hospitals were made available. So initially, while these hospitals were getting readied, we took hold of the existing hospitals and made sure that certain isolated areas were made available for the COVID patients. And within a few weeks, as early as end March, as soon as the dedicated hospitals were available, we started a full-fledged facility of triage, segregation, and ensuring that the SOPs were also in place. And now we have a full-fledged command and control center through which we monitor all these hospitals and also ensure that the SOPs are followed, rounds are being taken, and if there's any violation of any of the principles of IPC, we immediately educate them and also, if required, take punitive action as well.
Case management and hospital preparedness. The management team of state government played a crucial role in responding challenges posed by the pandemic in terms of managing cases efficiently and developing large bed capacity COVID hospitals.
When we talk about case management and hospital preparedness, one of the first things we realized was the need to have all the details about the patients, the kind of treatment, which are the patients who are in a critical condition and so on. So we really invested a lot of efforts to put together the COVID tracker software, which would give us a line list of every patient who was admitted, how many of them are on ventilators, and so on and so forth. We felt that it would be imperative to have common, consistent protocols and also a system of mentoring people on a real-time basis. We also had tele-mentoring sessions, and we got some of the best doctors from the private sector as well, critical care specialists, intensivists, anesthesiologists, to come, and on a daily basis between 12 and 2 in the afternoon, they would speak to our doctors across different cities, different locations, and take stock of the conditions of patients, advise them. We also felt that the use of Ayush, alternative medicine, not as a substitute but as an adjunct treatment methodology, was very useful, as it is very popular among the people of Gujarat, and they were very happy taking it. So that has also been adopted in a fairly significant way across the state.
Operational support and logistics. In any public health emergencies, operational support and logistics are equally important.
We also realized that we needed equipments, particularly ventilators, and slowly we realized that not all patients needed to be intubated, but we needed more and more of the HFNCs, which were becoming very popular, the high flow nasal cannulas. And when we had to set these up, there was also a very urgent, pressing need for oxygen, uninterrupted oxygen supply. So in college after college, we went about setting up the oxygen tanks, making sure that the oxygen pipelines were in place. And so this was the next thing that was taken up. So even medicines at that time like Remdesivir, Tocilizumab, etc., we put in all-out efforts to make sure that these were available on time and available in sufficient quantity for all the hospitals to be able to provide them to the patients. We started having more and more decentralization, local, on-the-spot appointment of doctors, medical officers at the state level and at the district level, corporation level was taken up. We also felt their capabilities had to be built because many of them were absolutely not familiar with a pandemic of this kind. And so we used the iGOT platform of Government of India. And I'm very happy to say that Gujarat has trained over 900,000 people, out of which more than 600,000 of them have actually got the certifications for this. We also constituted a special purchase committee called the High Level Purchase Committee, which brought in real-time procurement and made it possible, and in a very transparent manner, using the government e-marketplace or GEM. And so a whole lot of procurement could be done, and there were literally, virtually, I can think of no instance where there was a gap of any of the consumables, kits, ventilators. And we also got tremendous support from Government of India, which was also giving us all these ventilators and other equipment. We also put in place a counseling facility, especially a toll-free number 1100, not just for the public, but also for patients in isolation, patients or family members in quarantine. But we also had a special provision of providing this kind of therapy, mental counseling therapy inside the wards across all the hospitals, which also helped patients. but this was also being provided for our healthcare workers, doctors, and the medical teams.
Research, innovation, and knowledge sharing. During COVID-19 pandemic, the state came up with many measures for the effective handling of situation through research, innovation, and knowledge sharing.
Gujarat has also been a part of various international trials, prestigious ones such as the WHO Solidarity Trial, the ICMR trials, including the current trial using the vaccine, the Bharat Biotech vaccine phase 3 trial is going on here in Gujarat. Other than this, innovative interventions such as the use of Dhanvantri Raths, telementoring, community pulse oximetry, the use of satellite-based weekly interactions with community level people, all these were carried out in a very big way. I must also specially mention the COVID community isolation centers which were set up with participation of the community, particularly in Surat and some parts of Rajkot, which again was a very special innovation which Government of India too recognized. Additionally, webinars by the teams of the State Institute of Health and Family Welfare, the State Health Services Resource Center, and also the task force members with very leading intensive care specialists, infectious diseases specialists. They would go to different locations and have online interactions and train. So this knowledge sharing, real time, whatever we were learning from the disease, these channels were used, insights that we were getting into the disease. One very important research intervention that Gujarat has been able to make is the complete genome mapping by the Gujarat Biotechnology Research Center, GBRC. And they are now also in the process of collecting and identifying whether the COVID virus is there in the sewage of different cities, different urban areas, etc. So these are very important research initiatives that they have contributed to.
Maintaining essential health services. In the pandemic, it is important that essential healthcare services such as non-communicable diseases and vaccination are not affected.
One of the important interventions which we didn't quite plan it for this, but it as a spin-off, I think it gave us very, very rich dividends, was the Dhanvantri Rath. Not only was it used for screening COVID patients, testing them and so on, but we interestingly found that we also leveraged it for non-COVID kinds of conditions such as NCDs, people with different similar small ailments, blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes and several other conditions. That was also very useful there. Right at the beginning, we decided to have exclusive COVID hospitals. So the idea was to keep the non-COVID hospitals also available so that the public could come in any case of discomfort or any of the illnesses and get treated there. We also put in efforts to get the private sector engaged and had a series of meetings, in fact daily audio calls with them, with a group of them across the state would be held to really ensure that they also started providing the normal health services so that people were not deprived of the other essential health services. Right at the beginning, in one of our earlier meetings, I recall a decision taken by the Honorable Chief Minister to insist that patients who needed blood transfusion, including thalassemia patients, should not be deprived of this on account of COVID. And so we made sure that this was made available to them. Similarly, patients needing dialysis, because these are all life-threatening conditions if the services are not available. Similarly, chemotherapy, routine labor deliveries. So there were many such services which we put in some thought and did some planning to ensure that these basic services are not compromised while we are putting in all our efforts to deal with the pandemic.
Decisive leadership and able administration are key to effective pandemic management. Effective convergent efforts of various departments are imperative and should be sustained for future pandemic. Provide platform to exchange best practices and create a culture of learning and sharing. Motivate people to report positive cases, boost patients' morale under stressful conditions, and to strengthen confidence of people in efforts and measures undertaken by the government. Efforts on preventive action and health behavior such as hand wash need to be prolonged even beyond the pandemic. Preventive action, a standard clinical protocol with regular updation and proper training of the staff engaged in pandemic carries a lot of value. Active partnership and formal engagement with industries, academic institutions, hospitals, and civil society organizations. Formal engagement with should be leveraged during public health crisis and beyond. Civil society organizations, we are in solidarity with the country to fight against the COVID-19.
Hope for the best and be prepared for the worst.